Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Ajanulambita Bhujo Kanakavdato Sankirtanaika Pitaro Kamalayataksho Vishwambharo Vijabharo Jugadharmapalo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karunavataro Ali Viparipalita Prabhalita Sanandamalokita Pratyasam Sumana Falodaya Vidho Samodama Mudita Vrindaranya Bhuvi Prakasha Madhura Sarvati Sayi Sriya Radha Madhavayo Pramodayatu Mam Ullalasa Kalpadruma Jairupa Sanatana Bhattaragunath Sri Jiva Gopala Bhattadas Raghunath Enchai Gosara Kuri Charana Bandam Jahite Vignanas Avishta Puram. So I'm just looking at the heading on my blog site here, and I say that this blog is dedicated to the concept of prema prayojana. I want to explore the meaning of this simple motto, which states that divine love is the goal of life. So the Priti Sandarbha seems to me quite an appropriate work to include on this website in order to fulfill that original intent that I had with the website. So what we're doing now is we're in the, well, yesterday I felt, or in the last reading, Anucheda 8, I was, let's say, a little bit held back on the subject of seeing God. And I think that today's verse, so the problem in yesterday was that obviously we're setting up a very high standard. So I've been trying to see, let's see if we can widen to make it accessible to a larger number of people. Can we make that, can we broaden the definitions in some way? So here we're going to have now, well, there are two parts to this. The first part here is about the Jivan Mukta. So we talked about having direct vision of Krishna, but now he's talking about what's the nature of a liberated soul in this world, right? A Jivan Mukta. So from Bhagavat Sakshatkara. So we had that, the definition was given. Remember now, in Anucheda 8, a summary was given that Bhagavat Sakshatkara is the definition of mukti. That's what he was saying. So at least for now, we're using that as the definition. So liberation, or the ultimate goal of life, is to see God. Now, we've already seen before, we've seen before in in another discussion where it was said that there are certain people who see God, but then they show other symptoms, which we can call, there's a Swarup Lakshan and a Tatastha Lakshan. So all these terms were not used. The idea that there's a Swarup Lakshan, this is a person who has seen God, is going to show these symptoms. These are the primary symptoms. And then there are Tatastha Lakshan, there are other things that might also accrue. So now if the Tatastha Lakshan are somehow or another faulty, but the Swarup Lakshan is strong, then you can understand that the Swarup, because it's really the Swarup that we're interested in. So if a person has the Swarup Lakshana, has the distinctive characteristics that belong to someone who has actually seen God, and then whatever he does that is in an aberration in terms of the Tatastha Lakshana, of the other things that we expect him to show in terms of character and so on, that those things might not be 100% in line with the Swarup Lakshana. But nevertheless, the Swarup Lakshana is stronger. So now if someone else does not show the Swarup Lakshana of someone who has seen God, who has seen Krishna in whatever form, then in that particular case, the Tatastha Lakshana take on a bigger importance. If the Tatastha Lakshana are negative and the Swarup Lakshana is not very strong, well then such a person might be posing as a guru or posing as someone who knows the divine truth or who has seen God, but you can know that he is a poser. So now that's called, so that was the thing, so that was the general definition of a Bahir Sakshatkara. The Bahir Sakshatkara was more important than the Antak Sakshatkara. To see Krishna with one's own eyes, and now that is mukti, and so now that is being explained here. So Ataita Syam Bhagavata Sakshatkara Lakshanayam Mukto Jivad Abastayam Aha. So now this is being stated, I just sort of said, that in this liberation, which has the characteristic of direct perception with the senses of Bhagavan, can also be had while someone is living in this body. And now that is being evidenced by the following verse. So now this following verse, well, let's look at it and see what we think of this verse as a praman for what Jiva is saying. Jiva is saying it's a praman for someone having Jivan Mukti, of having had Krishna's vision, direct vision, in this lifetime, while still alive. Not waiting for death and going to some paradise. Akincanasya dantasya shantasya samachetasaha maya santushta manasa sarvak sukha maya dishaha. So akincanasya. So akincanasya is going to make a big deal out of this, but we've been seeing this word akinchana several places already. We've seen that akinchana gochara, that Krishna is accessible only to someone who is akinchana, and here he gives a definition in the comment, Jiva Goswami. Bhagavantang vina kinchananyad upadeyatvena nasti iti akinchanasya. So the word is akinchanasya. So Bhagavantang vina, so other than God, other than Bhagavan, he does not know anything else. And it says, upadeya tvena. So upadeya is usually desirable, agreeable. Here we put the meaning that it has value, something of value. Upadeya, something that is considered valuable. So other than God, there is nothing that is valuable in this world for an akinchana. So he's going in completely the opposite direction of the world. The akinchana is going completely in the opposite direction of the world, because the world is all about accumulating. Janmaishwarya Shruta Sri Bhir Edhamana Madhapuman Naivarhatya Vidhatum Vai Tvam Akinchana Gocharaha. You are only accessible to the akinchana. And God even tries to help us by making us realize that all the things that we think are important are actually fallible. They don't give us real protection. They don't give us real worth or real value. The real value lies within, not in janma, not in high birth, not in aishwarya and great wealth or power, not in great learning, not in great beauty, in none of those things. So here he says, Bhagavantang vina kinchananyad upadayatvaina nasti. Akinchana sees nothing, janma, aishwarya, sruta, sribhir. He sees all of them as being pointless, not giving him, like with the famous statement of Gargi, will I find immortality in all these things, in these material things that you are leaving us? So it goes on. So what's the rest of the verse here? Akinchanasya, so he's giving some more. So all these are adjectives of the person who has seen Krishna. Right? So dantasya, shantasya, samachetasaha, maya santushta manasaha, sarvaha sukha maya dishaha. So the main part of the sentence is sarva sukha maya disha. Sarva dishaha sukha maya. May all the directions be filled with joy. Sarva sukhamaya disha. All the directions, everywhere you look, there is joy. For whom? For the akinchana, for the person who has nothing other than Krishna. Who is also, now these are all the tatastha lakshana. Dantasya. Very dantasya, self-controlled. Shantasya, peaceful. Samachetasa, equanimous. Equipoised towards all. And then maya santushta manasa, whose mind has been made satisfied by me, by Bhagavan. So for such a person, all the directions are full of joy. So Jiva Goswami takes it like this. So an akinchana, for him, all things are joy. So the main noun here is akinchana. So there, what is the reason for that? Why is it so? That all the directions are full of joy? Because he has been made satisfied. He is satisfied with me, or satisfied by me, satisfied in my company, something like that. So, who is completely satisfied with me in his mind. And such a person, all directions are blissful for such a person. So, next goes on. So now this is akinchanatvenaiva hetuna visheshanatrayam dantasya iti. So the three adjectives, dantasya, shantasya, and samachetasaha, these qualities have arisen on account of the akinchanatva. Because he's akinchana, because he desires nothing other than Krishna. Therefore he's peaceful. Therefore he's self-controlled. And therefore he is equipoised, equal towards all. How's that? Anyatra heyopadeyataro rahityat. I still didn't change that. Okay, spelling mistake. Rahityat. Okay, so the anyatra heyopadeyatota rahityat samachetasa. So how is it the one is equipoised? because of this akinchana, nothing is of interest, nothing is to be afraid of, nothing is to be avoided, nothing is to be sought out. Because already the mind is the satisfaction, the internal satisfaction is already there. The idea is that one is trained, one trains oneself in internal satisfaction. Paran chikani vyatrinat swayambhu tasmat anta napashyati antaratman kaschid dhira pratyagatmanam aikshat pratyagatmanam aichat avritta chakshu amritatvam icchan. This is Upanishadic verse, the Paranchikani, the senses are all turned outward. And because they're turned out, or constantly turned outward, we can't find satisfaction or peace for the self. Because it's not, there's a difference in quality. That which is external to the self cannot bring satisfaction to the self. And so people, because the senses are turned outward, people don't pay attention to the self. They don't look inward. But some intelligent, some wise people who desire immortality, they turn inward. Avritta chakshuhu, they turn their eyes inward. And they see the pratyagatma. So they see the self, the true self within. So, heyopadeyata, there's nothing that is of interest, either positive or negative. So, sarvatra tasyaiva sakshatkarat sarva ityuktam. So the conclusion here he makes also, so now the subject under discussion is Sakshatkara. So Sakshatkara, Sarva Sukhamaya Disha. So if he sees joy in every direction, then evidently he is seeing Krishna everywhere in every direction. Because Krishna is Rasa, Raso Vaisaha, Yanghe Vayam Labdva Anandi Bhavati. So if one is feeling joy wherever one goes, then that is because one is perceiving Krishna. So now we say seeing Krishna or perceiving Krishna or experiencing Krishna. So is that experiencing Krishna always going to take the same form? Well, we hope that ultimately the goal is that yes, that Krishna we have picked our goal. Right? So that's where we left the Bhakti Sandarbha. So now here in the Priti Sandarbha, some general principles are being given of the Bhakti path and the goal of the Bhakti path. Now Bhakti path, most people think that Bhakti, most of the people who are on the New Age side of the Bhakti, the ones who are having Bhakti Yoga conferences and so on, they do a little bit of chanting and so on, a little bit of worship. And for them, that is an integral part of the Jnana path. It's just it's an akutrama. It's a little bit of window dressing for Brahma Gyan, the cultivation of Brahma Gyan. At any rate, here for the Bhakti path, in the actual Bhakti path itself, it's a lot more demanding. Right? The giving of oneself, akinchanasya, dantasya, shantasya, samachetasya, maya santushta manasa, sarva sukhamaya disha. So, if this is the symptom, so mostly what we're getting here is tatastha lakshana. Because how are we to judge? How are we to know whether someone has seen God or not? How are we going to know? Everyone has seen God to some extent or another. One would not exist if one did not see or perceive God, because God is reality. So if there is one's perception of reality, just by having the concept that there is such a thing as reality, to just have that idea in mind, that is called astikya. That is a confirmation of existence. That is a confirmation of the law, the truth of the law. Rita satya netram, the satyasya satyam. Accepting the idea of truth is itself an acceptance of God. But of course, that's a technical thing. That's something that we see from a devotional point of view. So to see God, to see the truth, is to see God. That's what it means. So then how can non-scientific truth, let's say we say that Krishna is a mythological figure, and even if he was a true historical figure, he's dead and gone. So now you want to see this Krishna, who is either a figure of legend, a figure of myth, he's Puranic, or he's dead, so there's no way that there can be Sakshatkara of him, except through a kind of self-imposed hallucination. That one enters into an alternate reality. And that alternate reality is Krishna's reality. That is the reality that's been handed to us and been told in Vaiparampara. Here, you're looking for the form of God. God has unlimited forms, but he has unlimited avatars, as many as there are, because everybody is seeing God differently. But let me tell you that according to the saints and sages of the Vaishnava tradition, that Krishna is the ultimate form of the divine, because Krishna's form is perfectly suited to the experience of rasa, experience of love. And it is by the attaining of this love, it's by attaining rasa, that one experiences bliss. So seeing Krishna, so now what I've just done, I've made the equation, right? Here it says Sarva Sukhamaya Disha. So someone who is Sarva Sukhamaya Disha is someone who's drinking the rasa of bhakti constantly. So it's by drinking the rasa of bhakti constantly, therefore for him all the directions are full of bliss. Raso vai saha rasanghi-vayam labdva anandi bhavat. He is joyful. So why is that? The only reason can be, we have this, he has nothing else besides Krishna. That's all he sees. That's all he thinks of. He's not distracted by anything else because he's got nothing but Krishna, therefore he's not distracted by anything else. He doesn't differentiate, this is good, this is bad, because everything is to him a manifestation of Krishna. His total satisfaction comes from his meditation on Krishna, his total surrender and participation in the being of Krishna. So that's his reality, that's the alternate reality. For the person who is inward looking, doesn't believe the story, right? Doesn't believe the story that's going on, the story they're trying to sell you. He doesn't take that story. No, sir, that's not the story. You've got the wrong meta-narrative. The meta-narrative is that the universe comes to an end, just like everybody's life comes to an end. The meta-narrative is that everything goes on for eternity in this constant creation and recreation. And the goal is to find God, to see God. That's the goal. To see God in whatever tiny way. God is revealing himself to everything, in everything, to everyone, at every moment, in a myriad of ways. So we believe that we're going to see God, and we're going to see God in a particular form, the particular form that we have received through parampara. We're being ye yatha mam prapadyante, shrutekshite pata, yadrishi bhavanayasya siddhir bhavati tadrishi. Taught to imagine and desire Krishna in the form in which he appeared in Vrindavan. That's why we hear about that. All right, let's read the translation. The words, one who has no possession, means one who possesses nothing of value to himself other than Bhagavan. The reason he is so is that he is fully satisfied with Bhagavan. The three further descriptors, having control over the mind, dantasya, peaceful, shantasya, and being equipoised towards all, samachetasa, are the result of his being akinchana. It's very easy to control the mind if the mind is not interested in anything else. It's easy to control the senses if the senses are not attracted to anything else. It's easy to be equipoised towards all if one has no interest, positive or negative, because of one's absorption in Krishna. So he is equipoised because there is nothing with or without value for him other than Bhagavan. It is because he sees Bhagavan everywhere that it is said that all directions are blissful for him. Sarva Sukhamaya Dishaha. So it's interesting here that he used Tatastha Lakshan to explain to us who, or to tell us that one can be in a state of seeing Krishna even while in this body. And not just seeing Krishna internally, but seeing Krishna externally with the senses. And when we speak about Krishna, it's that Krishna. Jaha jaha netra pure taha Krishna spure. Just like Radha. When she, because her mind is absorbed in Krishna, when she sees something, it reminds her of Krishna. And so therefore she sees Krishna. If she sees a bee, it's black, reminds her of Krishna. If she sees a peacock feather, she reminded of Krishna. Anything at all, any feature of this universe in some way, like the 6 degrees of separation, less than 6 degrees of separation, 1 degree of separation, and it leads to Krishna. So here's the commentary by Satyanarayana Dasji. Earlier in Anuched 3, it was said that one can attain mukti while still living in the present body, as well as after giving it up, which is Utkranta Mukti. So in the next chapter, in the next section, number 10, we'll start to talk about Utkranta Mukti. So the Utkranta Mukti, so there's going to be a very interesting section. It's a bit longer, not as long as some of the other ones, but in the next section we'll be talking about the Siddha Deha. So the two kinds of mukti in relation to Brahma Sakshatkara were previously explained in Anucheds 3 and 4, respectively. Now Sri Jiva describes them in relationship, in other words, the Jiva Dasha and the Utkranta Dasha. So now Sri Jiva Goswami describes them in relation to Bhagavan in this and the next Anuched. All right, so I'm just going to leave it there. It's a bit short, but I'm going to just not be too ambitious and try to get at least one done every day. The trouble is, you see that I have to produce more pages, and I'm going to, I have to be working more closely in touch with Babaji, which is actually a good thing, because ultimately he is the one who's going to approve or disapprove the way that I interpret the text for the published edition and so on. So at any rate, I'm quite happy about it. With the previous books, Babaji has been so busy. But right now, of course, he's a little bit less so because, well, I'm not quite sure whether he's less so or not. But, Babaji is a very disciplined person and wants to get a lot of things done. He doesn't waste a lot of time. And he's constantly got numerous projects on the run. So this is one of those projects, and he's putting a little bit more heat on the boil here. So, but that's a good thing. In the previous Sandarbhas, I didn't get a chance to work that closely with Babaji, just for the Bhagavat Sandarbha. And like I said, Babaji has been much more busy and expanding his objectives in so many ways. And it's easy for the Sandarbhas to get mixed in with as one of the numerous projects that's going on here. But in actual fact, it's the primary raison d'être, in a sense, of for the entire Jiva Institute. And so, of course, it's a great fortune to me, just like I was saying, that when I read the header of my own website here, that we're dedicated to the concept of Prem Prayojan. So to explore the meaning of this simple motto, which states that divine love is the goal of life. So that's the job, the Priti Sandarbha. This is the Prayojan Tattva. This is now the preoccupation of the final stage of life. So for myself, I'm talking here as a person who is now in let's say, the last quarter of life, learning the lessons that are supposed to have been learned, the lessons of sannyas. Right, so we'll be talking more about seeing God tomorrow. Jai Jai Sri Radhe.